Is gut health the root cause to autoimmune disease? You hear that all health starts in the gut, but what does that mean? And how can you improve it? It is time for a gut check, my friends. There are two fundamental aspects of gut health that you need to understand to improve your health: leaky gut and gut dysbiosis. We are going to dive into that so that you have a clear understanding of what it is and what it means for your health journey. Let's first start with understanding what happens to food when you eat it as it travels through the body. So as you begin to eat, you start to put food in your mouth and chew your food. This is our first step here that we sometimes tend to skip. So if you're a fast eater, you may take 1 or 2 bites, try to swallow the food, and just keep on going. The problem with that is that digestion truly starts in our mouth. There are digestive enzymes that are released in our mouth that start to break down these foods. If you are eating your foods too fast, you skip this step, you skip this opportunity to allow your body to start breaking down those foods so that by the time it hits your stomach, it's in a much more digestible form and just easy for the digestion overall. So first step to improve your gut health and improve your health overall is to chew your food properly. You want to make sure the ideal is to be chewing your food until it is liquid form. Now, I know that that's a little bit much. I definitely don't do that myself, but I do find myself saying like, okay, maybe I can chew it just a few more times. That's where the whole idea of like putting your fork down in between bites can make a big difference. So start chewing your food better, allow those digestive enzymes in your saliva to start the digestive process. Then food travels from your mouth, down your esophagus, into your stomach. This is where it mixes with stomach acid and other digestive juices and enzymes to start breaking it down to smaller particles. Then it travels into your small intestines. This is where the focus of much of our discussion today is going to be about. But in short, the small intestines is where all of your nutrients are absorbed. You have these little microvilli, these little like finger-like projections that line the interior of your small intestines. And it is their job to grab those nutrients and cross that barrier of your small intestines so that it reaches your bloodstream. And then once it's in your bloodstream, those nutrients send those, the blood send those nutrients to your cells so that they can thrive. After the small intestines, it travels into your large intestines. This is where the water is removed and that waste is then prepped for elimination. And that's when we poop. We love to celebrate poop. So that is kind of a crash course on digestion. Starts in the mouth, travels down the esophagus, hits your stomach, mixes with those digestive juices to break it down to smaller particles, goes into the small intestines where all of the nutrients are absorbed. Your small intestines is so key for digestion and for optimal health. That's where those nutrients are absorbed into the bloodstream, sent out to the cells so that they can have the fuel that they need to thrive and give you vibrant energy. And then whatever waste is left over travels into the large intestines, also known as your colon often, and the water is extracted and it's prepped for elimination when we go poop, ideally 2 to 3 snakes a day. So again, that's your crash course on the digestive system. Now let's look a little bit more closely at the small intestines because I talked about how important that is, and that is where leaky gut can occur. If you've heard of this term before, leaky gut is the concept that the lining of your small intestines, I had mentioned that the lining of your small intestines has those little finger-like projections, but it's supposed to be a fairly tight-knit lining or barrier there so that the only thing that passes through is those nutrients. We don't want undigested food particles, bacteria, toxins, anything. We do not want that getting into the bloodstream. That's super important. So the lining of your small intestines is supposed to have this pretty tightly knit barrier there, as it's known as semi-permeable. I like to think of it as like a nice strong bouncer that's there. And it's like, if you're not nutrients, get out. But what can happen is over time, through stress, poor diet, medication, toxic exposure, there's a lot of different things that can compromise the lining of that small intestines. And when it's compromised, those tight junctions start to weaken and we start to get these gaps. So then undigested food particles, toxins, bacteria, all types of things that are never intended to be in your bloodstream make it into your bloodstream and then have access to your full body. When your immune system detects that these things are in your bloodstream, it sends off a red alert because your immune system does not like anything that it is not expecting to be in your body. It is designed, if it suspects a foreign invader, to attack it. And that is exactly what happens with leaky gut. These things cross through that barrier that they are not supposed to cross through. Your immune system starts to get that red alert of like, whoa, something's in the body that is not supposed to be here, and it goes and attacks it. So that can create inflammation, and it can be the very beginning of the autoimmune process because it will start to develop antibodies against those food proteins. And that's when you'll start to experience food sensitivities. You might start to experience fatigue, gas, bloating, brain fog, like so many different symptoms, and kind of wondering what the heck is up, what's going on here. Gut health could be the root cause of it, leaky gut in particular. So we know what it is. Now let's talk about how to start remedying it. How do we fix this leaky gut? How do we tighten that barrier back up? The very first thing that you want to do is remove the foods that are creating that are aggravating the lining of your gut there. The most aggravating foods are gluten, dairy, and sugar. Those three foods are going to be most disruptive to your gut health, specifically to the lining of your small intestines. Many people will also include any lectin-containing foods, such as grains, beans, legumes, things like that. But gluten and dairy, hands down, if you do nothing else, get that out of your diet. I recommend cold turkey. Do it today because they are not contributing to your health. So you want to remove the foods that are causing that aggravation, compromising the lining of your stomach. The next thing you want to do is to support your body or support your gut with some gut superfoods. And that can include anything that is collagen based. Collagen is designed to be really helpful with sealing the lining of that gut. So where can you get collagen? You can get it through bone broth. That is why there's such a big craze over bone broth these days. You can make bone broth at home through a crock pot. Or you can buy it in a store or purchase it online. There's a lot of different ways that you can get it, but getting a good quality bone broth, and whether you are having it as like a cup of tea and sipping it throughout the day, you can certainly do that. It's amazing if you can replace like a cup of coffee with some bone broth, or if not, just add it in. Some people do like to do bone broth fasts. If you're doing that, definitely work with a nutrition coach or healthcare provider that can kind of guide you through that. But adding in more collagen-based foods are going to be helpful. Bone broth is definitely high on the list. If you're not into bone broth, you can use collagen peptides. So that is a powder form of collagen that can be added to a smoothie, a tea, really any hot beverage. It will dissolve right into, or anything that's put into a blender. It's colorless, tasteless, and odorless, so you don't even know that it's there. Okay, so we're going to be removing the aggravating foods from our gut, from our diet. Then we're going to be adding in some gut superfoods, specifically collagen. Next, we want to be managing our stress. I know we hear all the time that we need to be managing our stress, and we love the idea of it, but then life happens and we're like, really, like, how is this actually supposed to fit into my day? The idea of being managing my stress is stressing me out. Start simple. Do not try to put the pressure on yourself of doing a 40-minute meditation day one. Can you do a 5-minute guided meditation? The Calm app is one that so many people love and find great success with. So if the idea of a guided meditation sounds great, check that out. If you're not in meditation right now, that's okay. Go and take a 5-minute walk outside, get some fresh air, get some vitamin D from the sunshine, sit down and read a book with a cup of tea, add that collagen in and you got a double bonus there. But do something that helps to relieve that stress for you, even if it's just 5 minutes. Start with something and be consistent with that. And then over time, it can and it will grow. You can take a bath, again, lots of different things. So these are just, this is just a super high level overview of the digestive system, how it works, what leaky gut is. And again, it can happen from stress, from toxins, from poor diet, from medications, poor oral hygiene, like a lot of different things can contribute to it. You suspect that you might have it. If you have an autoimmune disease, it's pretty much suspected. If you have an autoimmune disease, that leaky gut is assumed to, or pretty much guaranteed to be present. You can also suspect it if you have gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, headaches, brain fog, fatigue, chronic aches and pains, like all of the things, because yes, a lot of our health does go back to gut health, and leaky gut is one of the things that we're finding that is present at the beginning of all of this. So if you are not loving the way that you feel on a day-to-day basis, perhaps this is an opportunity to explore improving your gut health. What is one thing that you learned today that you can put into action? Can you explore removing gluten or dairy or both from your diet? Can you perhaps start a small step of a stress management technique that you can do on a daily basis? I invite you, I challenge you, I welcome you to do just one thing. Pick one thing that you can start with today and be consistent with. And be sure to tune back in, because I am going to be coming back for part 2 of this Gut Check series, where we're going to be talking all about gut dysbiosis.